right, good.
Well, hi everyone. We are back for another episode of Tattoos and Toddlers, the podcast. What I do have to say is, the more I lean into this type of discussion and conversation, the more fun it is when I meet people out there that are doing the exact same thing I'm doing, or they're doing it more of it. They're out there doing their thing without even thinking about it. Like a lot of people that I know, we didn't necessarily plan on being a working parent, right? Like there's a lot of things that happen in this world. But today's guest, I want to invite you to welcome Tracee to the talk today. We're just gonna like have a free flow conversation about tattoos and toddlers, and wait till you get to the end because we're gonna talk about something tattoo related.
Yes.
Tracee, welcome to the show,
Hi,
and tell me
Jen.
a little bit about you.
Hey, Jen. I'm Tracee. I call myself the Way Up CEO. I have a business called the Way Up Creative Group, LLC, and I focus on integrated marketing, communications, consulting, and coaching.
Yeah.
And so, what that is basically branding, it's marketing, it's public relations, kind of all gelled together. I do a lot of consulting and strategy for my clients. I mostly work with nonprofits. Very small business. I have a small team, but we get a lot of big work done. So, but yeah, that's what I do. And I am a mom. I have 4 kids.
Woo!
I'm also, a wife. Yeah, my 4, they're spread out in age. So I have a 22-year-old daughter. She's married for a year now.
Aw.
20-year-old should be 21 this year. We're gonna go and probably go to Vegas or something and celebrate with her now. She's can get in the casinos and things.
That's true,
And
yeah.
yeah, and then I have 2 sons of 14 and 8. So
Aw.
not quite toddlers, but they've been there before.
Well,
So
and the reason why it's so funny because my daughter's about to be 7, as we're recording this podcast,
yeah.
and I called it Tattoos and Toddlers because at the time I was just meeting a lot of new moms that were still running their
Mhm.
businesses, and I remembered what it was like for me to start a business and keep running a business after I became a mom. So that's what happened when I made this podcast. It's just casual conversation about everybody's lives, things we've learned, maybe teachable moments. And I was kind of like talking with Tracee before this, and we're like, a teachable moment would be for my daughter dropping a fully, what do they call it? A fully encased iPad on my toe last night. And I woke up this morning knowing it was going to be black and blue bruised. And
Oh
I'm
man.
sitting here last night, I bent over crying because it did hurt. I
Oh
was, first of all, I felt bad because it hurt. And then the second one is I felt bad that my daughter was probably going to be upset.
yeah, yeah. Because it did it break?
So,
Did it break off?
so I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know. But,
okay.
I just thought to myself, a teachable moment right there for her to see the consequences of even an accidental thing. And
Yeah,
I wanted to be sure that she saw what had happened. That way she understood the repercussions of the actions, no matter if it was intentional or accidental. And so we were just discussing briefly like teachable moments, like how many of us, and Tracee, you're welcome to hop in. Did you recently have what we'll call, like I say, a teachable moment with you, your kids, your business, or whatever is happening in your life right now?
I mean, so much is always happening in my life. This is the crazy part about being like a mom and a
Yeah.
business owner and a wife, because that's a whole other aspect to it, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, I can't point out anything in the last few days with like my youngest, but about a week ago, my oldest son was cleaning up the kitchen and he shut the bread box, and we have an antique old school bread box with like the glass
Oh.
that says is embossed and they're really cute, says bread, and it's wooden, and you close it really gently because it'll break. So it
It's
actually broke.
old.
I was like, I was like rushing out the door and I heard this break and I'm like, okay, that's not supposed to happen. So I'm a little upset, right? So I think my response to that was, why didn't you why are you closing it so closely, like so roughly? And so I think more so the teachable moment was for me, like, calm down, it's okay, it happens. And that's okay. Hey son, just fix it, I gotta go. Just be careful when you clean up the glass. put it in the trash, wrap it in some stuff, put it in there. Just like teachable moment is, I can't clean this up for you. You broke it. I'm upset. It's okay. But, you're going to have to deal with it.
No,
And
we'll be dealing with that up until we're adults and senior citizens. We'll be like, gonna clean
yes,
up our own mess.
how to clean up your own mess. Somebody's going to be upset about it, but they're not going to be able to help you through it all the time. And I won't always be there to like hold your hand through things that might seem like scary or dangerous, so just you'll figure it out. Your sister's here, ask her a question, and I gotta go, so it's more like the teachable moment was for him and for me, like, okay, you don't have time to be upset about this, so just move on,
Yeah. Yeah. And
and then for him, be more careful. So
I also had this happen recently. This is gonna sound really silly, but
yeah.
I have these beautiful vintage lamps that have recently left my living room because our two baby kittens, I call them kittens, they're a year old. They
Okay.
got rambunctious one day and knocked one of them over and completely snapped the top of it off. And then these
Oh,
are irreplaceable vintage, that I bought them in the
mhm.
90s and I've had them forever.
Oh man.
And I was like, well, and so from that accident, I was like, well, these are not children. I can't teach them to not do that.
Right. Not
So I
cat.
was like, I had to rethink my whole front room studio here. And so ever since that happened is where I've started making a new space in my home just for these kinds of things, like
Yeah.
my podcasts, my creative painting stuff. I have all kinds of things on this table that I have sitting here that's open for all these creative moments, all because of an accident that led to me rethinking everything.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes we have to do that. You got to rethink it all and make it make sense. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
So I was
interesting.
gonna say, being that I know that all your kids and ages are spread out, but it sounds like when you do have a lot going on, which I know you have an event coming up too, right?
Hmm.
What have you found is one of the best ways to keep yourself organized? Or are you that kind of a person that is already organized? You should see my face. I'm like, are you already organized?
I'm looking at you like, is she trying to get? No, I'm just kidding. I'm organized to a point. You know what I mean? Like I'm
Yeah.
organized from high level. And then when it comes down to tiny details, I really prefer to delegate and like, reorganize it when I have time. So, but organized to a point, like my husband gave me the best advice, and it probably took me 2 years to implement it. He's like, Tracee, just put everything in a schedule. And then that way it's out of your head and not on note. I use sticky notes for stuff. And he's like, no, you got to put it all in a schedule. So I put everything on my calendar down to calls and
Yeah, yeah.
reminders and things I need to create and, meetings. All of this stuff now is organized in a calendar. So at least I can see at any given point what I need to be doing and how I need to flex, where my free time is. So that has been a big, I wouldn't say lifesaver, but it's been a big time changer in the sense of I know where my time is being spent,
Ah,
and then organizing all my information, kids info, client stuff. I'm kind of old school in the sense of I organize it even digitally how I would in the
yeah.
physical. So I use calendars and I use the folder system for notes, and I have a really creative way, I think, of like naming things. How do I refer to it so that I can know what it is when I go to look for it? So the folders are called, things that make sense to me. Uh, and I just put the folders inside of folders inside of folders. So yeah, I'm a bit organized in that way. But then I also have that unsorted, like the unsorted folder where I
Yeah.
just throw in all the notes and I'm like, I'll get to that when I can, you know.
I love it. I relate to that heavily on the calendar thing because,
Yeah,
and I email myself a lot
I
because,
do too.
like the
And text
sticky
myself.
notes, yeah, and the sticky notes are,
Yeah.
while they are wonderful, it's like the more ideas I get, the more it just makes sense to email myself. And then I go through all these checklists of emails and notes and things that I was looking at them today. I was like,
Yeah.
you need to revisit those because you have a couple of deadlines coming up.
Exactly. That's the thing too. I put the deadlines on there. I put if I've broken it into phases, I'm like, okay, I need to have this done by this time. And I'll set the reminders. Like that calendar is is the one, because prior to that, Jen, I don't know how I managed it all, and I'm managing quite a lot. So girl, I was going crazy, trying to remember everything and remember the reminders and all of that.
And
It
even
was
if you had like I still have physical calendars here, which they're helpful
good
to a
too.
point. Yeah, right. Like I have all go to the dollar store, get you a whole bunch of calendars. But we also were talking about you were discussing with somebody about, you were looking at some more opportunities coming ahead, and you were discussing the last 20 years of your life and employment.
Yes.
And, so 20 years ago, like, did you just like start your business just out of an idea? Did your business change over time? When you're, because you said your oldest was what, 20,
22. My
22.
oldest is 22. Yeah.
So how did you have a full-time job then, or did you start a business then, or was it both?
Oh my gosh. Here you go. Going way back. Okay.
I gotta know how we began this journey.
Okay. So 22 years ago, once upon a time, um, no, 22 years ago, when I first had my first child, I had just finished college.
Oh,
I
wow.
had just finished college with her. And then a year and a half later, I had my second daughter. And so by then, I was moving to Texas. And no, I wasn't working, none of that. So that was like right after college. And then I started working at NBC5 for a little while, and I started working with a podcast slash streaming radio show. It wasn't called a podcast then. These things didn't have a name 20 years ago.
Yeah, I was gonna say kind of like the Fishbowl Network where you're streaming,
Yeah,
you're on the air, but you're not necessarily a big network kind of a thing.
it was like YouTube.
Yeah.
For it was on video on YouTube.
Yeah.
But then we had also AM and FM dial on the radio.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I was producing that show, which I guess today would be called a podcast and a streaming show. So I was producing that, and then I was like, you know what, I got to get a job, because I was a single mom at that point. By that time, things didn't shape out, so I became a single mom of two little girls.
Aw.
And yeah, and so I was like, I got to get a job. I need more income than this. And I did. I started working part-time. And then from there, I was like, yeah, I need more income than this. So I started looking for a full-time job. So
Yeah.
I went from doing what I love, which was like the creative thing, organizing, putting together this content, this show, to working a part-time job at Channel 5. I was on the assignment desk as an assignment editor in the newsroom. And then I did full-time work at Chrysler. And then even with Chrysler Financial, I was there at Daimler Chrysler. I was in collections. And I call collections like reverse sales. To me, it was like I was still using my marketing skill and my ability to talk to people and talk them through, like, convincing them to do something, through marketing, to buy something, but instead they'd already bought it. They just didn't want to pay for it. So,
Yeah.
collections is to me reverse sales. So I did that. And then I ended up doing the newsletter, for the employee newsletter through the corporate.
Oh,
Yeah. And so by doing that, it was like re-energizing
you
my
got to be
whole
creative again.
creative, the creative spin. So it became half of my job. So 20 hours here, 20 hours there. And I was like, at least I
Wow.
get my creative fix,
That's so
to
cool
put
though.
together this corporate communications. And then from there, I didn't want to give it up. So I just started to maintain that. And I picked up a few clients to do editing and writing. Um, I had started just a part-time freelance of public relations and copy editing and writing. Started out doing press releases and CVs and resumes. So that was kind of my focus, and under a different business name. And I did that for 16 and a half, 17 years
Wow.
thereabout. And then I had this idea that I waited 3 years to start. Right after a year of the pandemic, I was like, yep, start it now. So 2021 is when I started that one. So between there, I did what other people do when you have a dream for a business or you're running your own business. You tend to work another job until you can actually figure out how you can do your business more full-time or more
Well, and
permanently.
then I was gonna say, in between all that, because you said you have 4 kids, in between
Yeah.
all of that, there had to be 2 more kids in the mix,
Yeah, so
right?
my third child came, and then we had, then I got remarried, and then we had the fourth child, and yeah, so it was just a series of being a single mom for a long time, for a while. Um, and then eventually getting remarried. I mean, I don't know how far back you want to go, but it was
No,
a lot going
yeah,
on.
I was gonna say, like, the cool thing about us sharing our stories is that for me, a duality of what happens in my head is like some people have to have jobs and do businesses out of the necessity of paying your bills, and then some people just follow their passions and they make it work no matter what, right? Like
Yeah.
there's a variety of reasons why we end up where we are. So I just
Yeah.
don't know. I wanted to travel back in time just a few minutes to see where you've come from, which I think is amazing. And I know that's we've only touched on it because I know there's a whole bunch in between.
Yes.
You probably went through mentally, emotionally, probably crying somewhere in the corner for a little bit,
There was a lot of stuff going on there, Jen. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a when you're going from, and this is my second marriage, right?
Yeah.
So obviously there had to be that time frame of, going through separation, divorce, and the emotions that come with that, on top
Grief.
of I'm raising these kids now by myself.
Yeah.
Trying to date again too. That was interesting in that period of time. And how does that work, dating with kids? And then also my family, my grandmother, who's very close to my heart, became ill. I, was became ill myself and working. So I had to take some time to come back and like move away from being on my own to living with them, helping them out. So there was a lot of transition as a single mom that I did, that some of those moments were really hard. And, I got through it because I had a pretty great support system.
Yeah.
And sometimes I didn't feel like I had any support, but, it always worked out where if I really needed something, I had it. I mean, I have some really freaky stories about like gas being in my car. I'm like, I didn't put no gas in my car. I didn't have $2 to my name. And I went to drop my babies off at daycare to go to work. And I went and I dropped them off. They're out the car. I'm on E, like on fumes in the gas tank. I get out and come back to the car, go to the car, and drive to my next destination. As I'm looking, I look at the gas handle, and it's just a little bit above a fourth. And I'm like, how did this happen? And I was just thanking God, because I'm like, I don't know who put gas in my car, but between me going in the daycare and out, but I was just so thankful because it was one of those times in my life where I really had very, very little, and I was penny pinching and, saving money this and, just doing the best I could. And so little moments like that would happen. I remember, when I was pregnant with my third child, my son, my oldest son, I was working at a church, and I, again, not making much money because I am one of those people that follow my passion. I don't just chase
Yeah.
money, right? So I do want
Yeah.
to do something I'm passionate about. But I was working at a church, and I didn't have much. And I was always just, personable with the families that would come in and things. And this one family came in, I can't remember their name, but they came in, and she just said, Miss Tracee, I think I have some stuff for you. And I was like, okay, that's awesome. And so she brought me 3 black garbage bags full of baby stuff. And I was just so, again, just so blessed and thankful, because I didn't know if I was going to be able to get all that stuff for him as a baby. The income was not there. I was a
And
single
it's
mom.
not like you saved it from the other kids. And they
Right. I
were
didn't
girls,
save
right?
it. There was a huge age difference. So, my girls are 22 and 20, and
Yeah.
my son was 14. So that was at least a 6, 7 year gap,
Yeah.
right?
So
I didn't have
no
any
baby
babies.
clothes.
So no. And so she gave me all that stuff, and that was really all I needed for those first several months of his life. And I think I even saved a lot of that stuff for other people. I passed it
Oh my
forward to
gosh.
other people.
Yes. Yeah.
But it was just such a blessing. Like I really got through those really challenging times as a mom, trying to also figure it out. What do I want to do with my passion pursuits?
Yeah.
And just figuring it out. And I had that support, and it just came when I needed it the most. So I really credit other people in being that village, for
Mhm.
me, and being that support system. I think that's what we all need. And, mom to mom, like if I see a mom, I look at her baby, if they're like in Walmart or something and the baby's going crazy. I'll walk by if I can and try to take a look at the child and make them smile and try to see what I can do to help her out, because those situations are challenging. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
little things like that, we can help each other out. So I'm really grateful. I had a great support system who just come and step in and help me get through that. And then, met my husband currently, and he's been a big help in a lot of ways. Marriages like this sometimes.
Just like business
Um,
too.
I think business is like this, life is like this, all these things are like this, right? Everything. So you have to be able to just manage it. And when you can't manage it, you go and you find some support. So that's how I was able to do it. I don't know if I
I
can.
love that. I love that because, well, another thing you brought up was after I became a mom, I became definitely more, it became more relatable to, like you said, the moms in the stores with the screaming babies or the kids.
Yeah.
And so at any point that I am able, I will sometimes walk up to the mom and say, "Hey, you're doing a great job."
Hmm. Yeah.
Because you kind of sometimes just need to hear that you're doing all right.
Yeah. That
And
is okay. Yeah.
yeah, it's like, and if a complete stranger tells you that, sometimes it's more meaningful. If
Right.
it comes out of nowhere than maybe your family telling you. Like sometimes you're like, your family loves you and all that stuff. But when somebody like that doesn't know you, but they can see what's going on in your heart and you just speak right to it and be like, you know what, you're doing a great job.
Right.
Good job,
Yep.
mama. Or good
Keep
job,
it
daddy.
going. Right. Keep going. You got this, you'll get through it. So that's a really beautiful thing to do for people, I think. And I had people do that to me too. They spoke into my life positivity and good vibes and try to return it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was really helpful. I love the support system too that I got. And I had people giving me donations and they still kind of do every once in a while when they've got kids older than mine, and I'll kind of get some hand-me-downs, which I'm not opposed to some good hand-me-downs, and then I
Yeah,
bag it all up and I look for the next family that needs it. I have
that's
this
right.
great group of people that I've been sewing into since Miracle was a baby, and these families come in and they're just in need of everything, right? Like even the basics of cribs and blankets and underwear, whatever. And
Yeah,
so that's what's great about being able to, I guess they call it pay it forward, or just
they
keep
do.
blessing other people as you're a blessing. Or if you've been blessed, you just bless other people.
Right.
I think
Yep.
it's fantastic. So, as we start wrapping up our conversation here, I want to get back to this tattoo kind of stuff we're talking about. Now, here's the thing I didn't tell y'all when this talk started is that Tracee doesn't have any tattoos, but she did start with a really interesting story involving tattoos. So, I wanted to visit that for a second. So, Tracee, tell me what we can talk about with tattoos with you. Something about, was it one of your kids or
Oh my gosh. Okay, so yeah, I've always wanted to kind of get a tattoo since I was in high school. I was always thinking, how can I get a tattoo and which one should I get? I couldn't decide. I just couldn't decide. I was like, I love butterflies, but I was like, but that's just right now. What if I don't love a butterfly in 10 years? I still love butterflies, by the way, but I just could never decide what to get. And then one time I was actually going to get a tattoo and I found out I was pregnant. So I heard
Oh, yeah, they don't
that
let you
this
do anything while you're pregnant.
I couldn't do it. So I was like, okay, well, that was out of the question. And then, but the funny thing is, so I still don't have a tattoo now. I'm still thinking about how to get one. My husband has plenty. And my girls have tattoos. They snuck and got tattoos though. They did not tell me they were getting tattoos. It's like as soon as they turned 18, or 16 rather, they went and got them. And so I was like, "What?" They didn't ask or anything, but they did a really sweet thing. They got tattoos that represent, me, my birth year. which I won't say, Jen. And my mom's birth year, and they also
Aw,
got some biblical stuff like tattoos of those kind of things, that say
that's
blessed and
cool.
like God is greater than the highs and lows. So they have some really meaningful tattoos. So I'm proud of them that they were able to go get it and they get it done. They didn't, you know, wait for the perfect moment. They just did it. And so, but yeah, I'm still trying to figure it out. What do I want to get? I think kind of settling in on maybe my kids' names, because I know that won't change. You know what I mean? Like something that's not going to change.
I think that's really cute. I've had so many people on this podcast that have been in the same process as you, as they're waiting for that right moment and then the time and then the finances to all come together in one happy family.
Yeah,
Um, well, and I've discovered that a friend of mine showed me a TikTok of $10 tattoos in Las Vegas. And I was like, you would first think, okay, $10 tattoos, that doesn't sound right, right?
right.
But these are legitimate tattoo parlors that offer what they call almost like a flash tattoo, where it's literally, it's got to be super small and you can only do it on certain parts of the body. You just walk
Okay.
in there, you're done. She and I were done together in about 30 minutes.
Okay.
30
What did you get?
minutes.
What
And
did you get?
she got three of them, or two or
Okay.
three. She got two. I got one. I got a little spaceship.
Oh, I like that.
So it's a little
That's so cute.
spaceship, and now we're discussing we're gonna do it in New York City too. We're gonna go get a flash tattoo in New York City.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I've been Vegas quite a lot. I went a few times last year, once this year so far. So that's
Ooh. I'll send you the info because it was such a
sweet.
great experience. It was so
Yeah.
much fun, so quirky.
Yes. Oh, and quirky. I love that word for
Yeah, and
one.
it's, it was a super fun experience. And I think there's
Yeah.
something about that's the first time I've ever got to do it with a friend.
Yeah.
We were traveling together and just doing a tattoo session with a friend. But that doesn't discount the fact that for a birthday celebration one time, my friend's like, hey, we're all going to go downtown Dallas-ish and we're going to get tacos and tattoos.
Okay.
So
That's a
we all sort of got tattoos together. They were just all different ranges and sizes.
yeah.
This one was a very clear, like, we're going in, we're going to get this little tiny tattoo, and then we're going to be in and out and go to the conference right after. And I was trying to convince everybody to come with. I was like, come on.
Girl. So what did y'all get?
Oh, so I got the little spaceship and she got a butterfly and a little, we'll call it like a little rock hand sign, but
Okay,
the
yeah,
little
that
hand,
okay.
the little hand
Oh
has
wait,
little spiky
that
fingernails. Yeah.
okay.
And then the hand has little spiky fingernails and it's so cute. It is so
Oh
adorable. Like you'd be amazed what you can get in a tiny tattoo.
yeah, okay. Well, I know I like to draw too. I kind of sketch things out sometimes,
Yes.
and I tend to draw hearts. So I'm a real big like heart and
Yes.
angel wings type of person. So maybe something
Yes.
like that would be
And
cute.
really, I think, and I'm doing that now, by the way, I'm actually designing what I want to do in New York City. I'm thinking hard about what I want to do symbolically.
Yeah.
And I'm leaning towards the sun, which is kind of funny because we're about to have that solar eclipse.
Yeah.
But I was really leaning towards the sun, and then I was researching some other things, and I was just trying to look for, ancient symbols of the sun or biblical symbols of the sun. And I haven't settled on anything yet, but I at least have an
Okay.
idea of what I want.
What
But
you
all I
want.
do is I draw it in the way of what their flash tattoo style is, and I'm pretty sure I'm in and out very quickly. So,
Awesome.
but yeah,
So
I thought
you
it was
draw, Jen.
huh?
You draw.
Yes, I'm pretty much an artist. I can do
You
lots of
do
stuff.
everything.
I can do lots of stuff. I can't do it all well, but I do lots of stuff.
That's okay. A Jill of all trades. A Jill
Yeah,
of all.
my daughter's so sweet. She's like, "Mom, you draw better than me." And I said, "Honey, I've been alive a little longer, so it's
Yeah.
okay to give yourself the fact that you're only 6."
Oh, that's so cute.
But no, she's not only 6. This girl's about to be 7 and she's very creative and
Yeah.
very skilled, and I really encourage that with her, because
Mm.
no matter what business we're in, no matter what parenting comes at us, no matter life's challenges, we can always go back to art, which is what I go back to
Yeah.
a lot of
Well,
times.
if you have it in you, then yeah, you can always go back to it. Everyone
Yeah.
has their thing.
Or
That's
creativity in general. Yeah.
in general. I was, and I know we're wrapping up. I know we're wrapping up. But I always feel like whatever we're inclined to do as kids, like naturally in our downtime. Like that's the
Mhm.
thing that we need to develop a skill for, a talent, and actually make it. I think that's something we should be using in our adult life, to help us fulfill a purpose. That's, I think is that connected to childhood and what we're naturally gifted to do.
And I think we can leave this with our parents and caretakers listening. If you do have smaller children, just pay attention. They are your teachers.
Yeah,
They
they'll
remind
show
you how
you.
to be young. They remind you about the awe and wonder of the simplicity of life. And I think we all really need to revisit that continuously when we get stressed out. We're
Absolutely.
trying to figure out our days. We're trying to figure out how to pay the bills. We're trying to figure out our passions. All of the things can go back to that simplistic nature, enjoying some things from your childhood that are very simplistic in nature, and just enjoy yourself. And
Right.
I have to wrap
Right.
it up, y'all, because time's running out, and I've just had so much fun talking with you, Tracee, about everything that we could think of, including our resumes of 20 plus years, because I've got the same thing happening over here. Been doing this for a while, but I love that you were able to come on the podcast today. So thank you for sharing part of your story.
Thank you.
And we will see y'all out there in the tattoos and toddlers world.
Yes. Thank you,
Have a
Jen.
great day, everybody.